So the airport was the Avengers versus the Avengers. Pretty awesome. Um, and and Romanoff knows that Steve's not going to stop, and she says, "I'm not going to live and regret this," and lifts her arms and fires at Black Panther, and it looks like she's going to fire Steve, but she fires at Black Panther, and tells him to go or hold him off, and basically it is and the movie Captain America: The Winter Soldier, she says, if they all very wrong, would you trust me to save your life? And he says, now I would. So yeah, it's a continuation of that little scene. And they go off and fly to someplace winter, and Tony finds out that he was wrong, and Cap is right, and he's definitely in over his head with everything, and he needs help, and Vision got this. Oh, now I remember how he got knocked, like Rhodey got hurt, because Vision got distracted by Wanda. And Tony told on Black Widow, and Black Widow goes off and says, I'm not the one that needs to be watched, that needs to be scared and watch their back. Yeah, so she's pissed at Tony, and Tony goes to Falcon and takes out security cameras and says that he was wrong, and Cap needs help, and he tells Tony that he has to go alone and has a friend, and he says no problem. And so he goes off, suits up in his Iron Man suit inside the helicopter, and the secretary asks what he said. He told me to go to hell, and I will, if you ever need me, I will put you on hold. I like to see the light blink. And so, and Barazimo listens to some calls that from his family, from messages that from his family, like his wife. So anyway, Tony and goes to his Steve's and helps him out, and Steve is surprised that Tony shows up, and Bucky has a gun on him, and ready to shoot Tony, and says that, and he says, and Tony starts joking around with Cap. You seem surprisingly hesitated for some reason. And he says, it's been a long day. And he says, and they both start talking, and He starts to realize that when Tony started joking around, he realized that Cap realized that Tony's is on his side. So he says, "Good to see you, Cap, and good to see you too." And Tony says, "You're killing me here. This is true." And Bucky and Cap says, "Put down the Bucky." And Tony's ready to fight for bad guys, and Steve's ready to throw his shields for bad guys, and Bucky's ready to shoot at bad guys, if there's any, because what they're walking into is a Hydra base that has more of them like him, that are much worse and more dangerous and more unstable than Bucky's Winter Soldier. How's that? Awesome. And turns out Baron Zemo killed all of them and didn't want any Winter Soldier army. And Cap finds out that he lost someone in Sokovia, and he missed that he lost his family, and he says that he lost his family, his entire family, and he shows, hold on. So Baron Zemo shows Tony footage, starts playing footage, and Tony goes to look at it, and he wonders what the hell it is, and Captain America watches, and Bucky watches. It is the footage of Tony's parents' death, getting killed by Bucky. So Tony becomes bloodthirsty a bit and asks Captain America, did he know? And he lies to Tony at first, and Tony says, "Don't bullshit me, Rogers. Did you know?" And he says he didn't know. And so Tony's a bit heartbroken, and suits up his Iron Man mask to kill Bucky, and Steve tries to Cap tries to stop him, saying it wasn't him, and well, Bucky keeps on trying to escape the hell away from Tony, and then Tony, Steve, Bucky, the Woman and the Winter Soldier, and so basically Winter Soldier, Iron Man, Captain America, ended up fighting each other, and Black Panther was there listening to the whole thing, and he knows that he also confesses that he killed T'Challa's father, and Zemo confessed it to Bucky confessed it basically by explaining his plan. And T'Challa goes to Zemo, was this your plan to get them to fight each other and anger at each other? And he says he knew he couldn't take down the Avengers because there's many more powerful people than him, greater people than him that have tried, but he figures if he could get them to fight each other, then get them to kill each other and to get them to turn against each other, then they would kill each other. And this is like when Bucky is down and has his arm ripped off by Tony. Remember that part? Tony ripped his arm off. Rips his robotic arm off, and Steve is kicking Tony's ass head on and punching the shit out of his armor, and like says, and Friday, which is Tony's AI now that got replaced by Jarvis, because Jarvis is in Vision now again. He got downloaded in Vision. So his new AI in Age of Ultron became Friday. So Friday says you can't beat him head on, and so she comes with a solution and says, "Okay, let's kick his ass." And they kick his ass, and Captain America says, "I could do this all day," and Tony says to Captain America, "Stand down, find war," before he holds up his repulsor blast, and forget what happens. Does Bucky come out and save his doesn't Bucky save Steve's ass? I think so. Bucky, I believe, saves Steve's ass, and saves Steve's ass, and oh yeah, he saves Steve's ass by taking and also take the little the thing in Tony's chest that powers the suit, as called what's it called again? So he takes out the license that powers the suit. That is he takes out the arc reactor that's powering his suit and rips it out. Tony is rips it off Tony's arc reactor. Oh, then his suit, then.
Okay, where are you at?
Then his arm gets blasted off by Tony.
Do you see the door with the buzzer?
And
yeah, if you just do. Alright, I didn't answer.
Pizza has come.
Sorry.
Right. Okay, so let me finish this. So Cap and Bucky beat the shit out of Tony, and then beat the shit out of Tony, and Tony spits some blood out and while laying down on the floor, and says to Cap that shield doesn't belong to you. My father made that. His father made that shield, and Cap lets Tony have the shield. And cut to next scene. Next day, and Tony arrives at the shield, the Avengers location, and he gets a note from Captain America, and it says apologizing about Tony, and says if you need his help, just give him a call. And you see him kicking ass and free out the rest of Avengers, Captain America's Avengers that was being held captive, because they were helping out Captain America, and it ends like that. And after the end credits, you see Peter playing with his spider, his web shooter, and he activates something and says, "Holy crap!" And he's getting him some ice, and he's saying how he kicked this ass. We got in the fight with this guy called Steve, and says who he's using. He says, "But yeah, I got a few," and him. And says, and asks Aunt me to shut the door, and says, "Love you, mate." And it sees in this spider signal. It shows us the spider signal. And it's really cool. And that's it. Whoops! I pressed the pause, not the stop button. And that's Captain America for Avengers, why call it Avengers Civil War. So bite me if you disagree.